Hey, good morning. How y'all doing this morning? Michelle in the house. Okay, story time, y'all. Okay, this is about a raccoon. Okay, it was one of the first jobs that I had when I was younger. I worked for this lady in a flower shop. And the lady in the flower shop, she would have mood swings. I swear she had split personalities. One day she'd come in and she'd be real nice to everybody. And then the next day she'd come in and she'd be screaming at everybody. We weren't allowed to take 15-minute breaks. We weren't allowed to take 30-minute breaks. When we would eat our breakfast or our lunch, we weren't allowed to sit down while we were eating. We had to stand up and eat while we were working, or she would yell at us. And so me and another coworker we had to sit down and take a break sometime. And so we would watch for each other. He would let me go take a break and he would watch out for her, and if she was coming, he would come tell me. And then I would do the same thing for him. So for breakfast every morning, she would bring us a egg burrito with no chorizo in it, no salt, no pepper, no seasoning, no potato, no nothing. And at first it was okay. We liked it at first, and we would just put a little salt and pepper in it. But then it got to where we got tired of that. Every single morning we would get two of those, and they didn't taste good no more. So if we said we didn't want it, that's okay. If we said anything about it and we didn't eat it, then she would yell at us. She would throw a fit. She would slam stuff. She would act crazy, and she would tell us, "Okay, I guess you won't be hungry for lunch either," and she won't get us no lunch either if we didn't eat it. And then she would go a whole week and wouldn't bring us nothing back to eat. It's like she would punish us for it. So we had to take it and we had to eat it. So I didn't want mine. So I walked through the alley part of the shop and carried mine to the backyard, and looked over the fence. I was going to throw it over the fence, and I noticed a raccoon back there. So I started feeding mine to the raccoon. So I had been doing that for a while, and my coworkers noticed. So one of them looks back at me and she says, "I know you didn't eat that fast." She said, "What'd you do with yours?" And I told her, "It's a secret." And she started telling me how she's burnt out on it, that they were tired of that egg burrito too, that it just don't taste good. I told her, "No, it don't got no flavor." I told her, I said, "That's why I went and got rid of mine." And she said, "Well, whatever you did with yours, will you do with mine too?" And she gave me hers and said, take mine." And then when she did, within all of the women in the shop handed me their burritos, said, "Take mine back there too." So I was taking everybody's egg burrito back there to that raccoon, and I was feeding that raccoon. So the boss never knew about us doing that. That nobody was eating their egg burrito, and I was feeding everybody's egg burrito to the raccoon. So we had a stove inside the flower shop. So sometimes, ever so often, she would buy something to cook on top of the stove. It was like a special treat. Like one time we all did stew. She bought stuff to cut up and put in the pot in the stew. And we all was cutting stuff up and throwing in the pot and the stew, and we had that stew so good. That stew was pretty good. Every single one of us was throwing stuff in the pot. So sometimes she would get cold cuts, and so we would have bread laying on the table or something in the flower shop there in the back. So we had a loaf of bread back there, and we come in one morning, and that raccoon had found its way in the flower shop. And he got a hold of that loaf of bread, and he tore that loaf of bread up. And he got into it, and he ate half of it. So I was like, ooh, oh man. I didn't say nothing. I plead the fifth. I didn't tell nobody I had been the one feeding the raccoon. And so the driver guy, he was an older guy, older man. He said he had a trap that he could set up and catch the raccoon and catch it in a cage, and then he'll take it off somewhere and turn it loose somewhere else away from the shop. And so he tried to set that cage, the trap on it. Cage, it was skinny. And it was a long cage. So he put food in it in the back of it every day and set it up for that raccoon to get trapped in there. When the raccoon goes in to get the food, then the trap door is supposed to click and it's supposed to close down on him and trap him in there. So we come in every morning and the food would be gone out of that cage and the trap door would be shut and there wouldn't be no raccoon in there. So then the old man is saying, either that's one big raccoon, he said, or it's smart and it figured out how to get the food out of there without getting trapped in there. So he tried and tried catching that raccoon in that cage and it just wasn't working. So then we come in, we would come in, and one time there was the square ceilings with the square deals, and the raccoon was up in the attic. He was up there walking around, and she used to have one of those ovals. She used to have like 3 or 4 of those little oval shelves that had glass, that they were made out of glass, the glass shelves, and she'd have whatnots on it and pot plants and stuff like that on it, and it was cute. That thing fell through one of those squares, and the ceiling came through. That raccoon did, fell on top of that shelf and broke that shelf, shattered the shelf glass, and there was glass all in the floor and everything, and potted plants knocked over, and whatnots and everything that was on it. And ooh, she was mad. She was cussing and yelling. She was so mad that her shelf got broke. So we would come in other mornings and there was paw prints all in the bathroom, and there'd be paw prints all on top of the counters, and we would have to clean the place up. He'd be walking around, there'd be paw prints everywhere. So then one day I went to go get something through the alley of the flower shop, and there was stuff in that alley part. She had supplies and stuff out there. We would go out there and get supplies sometimes, stuff that we needed, or sometimes we had to go in the backyard and get what we needed or something. Anyway, I had to go get something and walk through there. And so I come busting through there real fast. I wasn't thinking about nothing. And when I got busted through there. I ran smack dab into that raccoon. And I never seen it up close or seen really how big that the raccoon was. I just kind of caught a glimpse and knew that there was a raccoon and that he was eating the burritos. I didn't realize how big he was getting. I ran smack dab into that thing. I almost fell over him. Scared me to death. I come flying back, screamed real loud. That raccoon got scared and started slipping and sliding everywhere and jumped through this hole that was in the wall in the alley and was trying to get out and got his butt stuck and was scratching with his big old butt, and his butt was like that wide, like big old booty. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe raccoons can get that big. So then I told the old man when he came in the shop, I told him, I said, I ran into that raccoon. I can tell you now, the reason why that cage ain't catching that raccoon, because that raccoon is twice as big as that cage. He's too big for that cage. He can stretch his whole body and reach in there and grab the food and come right back out. So he's just having him a feast. You ain't gonna catch that raccoon in that cage. So when I left from there and wasn't working there anymore, I don't know what happened to the raccoon, or if he just disappeared and left, or what, but I know they never did catch him. But anyway, that's my story for the raccoon. Okay. Y'all have a good day. And if you like my video, then hit follow and push like and send some love, push some hearts. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.